Hey Rick, how's it going?
Good. Happy Tuesday. It's almost end of January. What the
I'm
heck?
freezing. I'm freezing, Rick. I have a sweater on. It was like
I
39
know, right?
degrees this morning. I want to call California and say I want my money back. This is not.
I know.
I can't function in this cold
I know I go to
weather.
the gym. I leave for the gym at about 4:50 in the morning,
Yeah,
and I think this morning it was like 39 degrees when I
yeah.
walked out the door.
It's hard to even
Yeah.
get out of bed when it's 39 degrees.
I know, right? Actually, I don't like having the heat on when I go to bed at night. I like sleeping in a cool room,
Oh
but it
wow.
drives Karen crazy. So last night I had the heater on,
Oh,
which I never do.
must have been
So that's
cold.
how cold it was. But I had the door open still a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for coming on today. As usual, here's our Tuesday, and I want to talk about a very sensitive
Mm,
topic today. And, you and I, we don't rehearse these things,
no.
we just kind of run some topics by each other depending on what's in the news or what's happening. And so I really felt like it was important to have this conversation today. And it really was prompted by an appointment that I've had in the last week. So
There you go.
the topic today is going to be, when things get crazy, do you go right to the listing agent to get your offer accepted? So people that don't understand how all this agency thing works is that
Hmm.
typically there's a listing agent, and that listing
Hmm.
agent will interview for the listing, take the listing. The commission that they negotiate with the seller is somewhere between 5 and 6% usually.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then they offer typically half of what they're going to get paid to to the agent who brings a buyer. It's like a finder's
Correct.
fee for the buyer.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they put that on the MLS. And that's why the MLS was created. And now it's a big monster. It goes out to all the other reciprocating websites. And
Hmm.
so that's how agency works. There's typically an agent that represents the seller, and there's typically an agent that represents the buyer. And I was on the ethics committee for about 4 years at our association of realtors. So that was
Hmm.
like mind blowing. Any
Hmm.
realtors out there who are watching this right now, I strongly urge you to read the code of ethics, read the MLS rules, and take it a step further if you can and join a committee through your association so you can help kind of raise the standards, and you'll learn a lot, very much.
Hmm.
So anyway, so this market is crazy. There is
Yep.
not a damn thing for sale right now. Like it's getting really frustrating for buyers. So I had a house, not me, but there was a house that went up for sale yesterday. And the instructions said to text the realtor for an appointment, and then they'll text you back, blah, 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 right? You could
Hmm.
do it that way, or you can use this really cool technology called Showing Time, and they can help you. But realtors don't always understand it. And so they
Hmm.
want to control this is a vacant house, by the way. They want to control everything. And so like the agent didn't even get back to me yesterday, probably because they were inundated with phone calls, right?
Hmm.
So this is where
Hmm.
we have some holes in the plan here. But
Yep.
nevertheless, I called him and texted him again this morning. They got back to me. The soonest I can have an appointment to go see this house allegedly is this Saturday. So I had to
Mm.
wait. It's a vacant house. So they said they were completely booked until Saturday. Now it's COVID and we can't have, buyers on top of each other. So you got to space out the showings, right? So that gives you an idea of the pure mayhem of the market. And all the offers
Yep.
are due for this particular house on the 1st of February.
Mm.
So that gives us some time to figure things out. So in this situation, this house is listed for $750. It's move-in ready, and it'll probably sell for close to $8, with no
Yep.
rhyme or reason really, except for interest rates are so low, and
Mhm.
people don't mind financing the maximum that they can finance, or bringing in a little bit of money to close if they don't have to,
Mhm.
shovel out bunches of money just to move in. So they're feeling a little panicky because there hasn't been anything like this in a few weeks. So the probability of a house coming up for sale for most people right now that meets their criteria is about one house every 3 weeks. I mean, it's like, it's bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's insane.
And
Yeah.
there's lines of people. So people think, how can I secure this house? And they think sort of the most primal way of thinking is reward, right? Money. So they think, well, if I go right to the listing agent, then that agent will not have to split their commission with another agent who brings a buyer. They'll make the whole commission rather than
Mhm.
split the commission, and I will get the house. So, I mean, that sounds pretty like it should make sense,
Right.
really.
On the surface, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I have a lot of listings every year. I usually have about, I don't know, 30 or more. I'm not sure. I don't really count them. Okay. And when I have a hot listing, I have buyers call me all the time and say, I want to buy this house and I want you to represent me. And so I'm going to give you a couple of different pieces of information here. So when a buyer calls me and says, as the listing agent, that they want me to represent them on a hot listing that I have, I will ask them, do you have a realtor that has been out showing you houses? And I can tell by their answer
Good
if the answer
question.
is yes
Yeah.
or no.
Mhm.
And it's typically, yeah, they do have somebody. And so I say to them, hey, listen, I promise you that going through me or going through your realtor, it's not going to make a difference. Okay. This is not about me and how much money I make. It's
Mhm.
about what's fair and honest to all parties, but also
Mhm.
the seller is going to make a decision based on what they're going to, get for the house. Right.
Right.
So ultimately the decision is the seller's decision. It's not my decision. I don't make decisions. And now the Mr. Buyer is risking his, integrity of his transaction because of this possibility of dual agency. That's what it's called.
Mhm.
In a
Mhm.
lot of states, dual agency is not even legal because they figure, how can you look out for the buyer and the seller equally?
Right.
And the answer is, you really can be that person. You really can, but it's very rare that people, realtors or the public, that they understand what that means. It's very
Right.
rare that they understand what it means. Means that I can't tell the seller ultimately the price that you're willing to pay for the property. I have
Mhm.
that sort of intel. The seller
Sure,
can give
sure.
you a counter offer. The seller can tell you what they want. You can tell them what, and I am going to sort of mediate back and forth, and I'll give you
Right.
my 2 cents, and it's just based off of not what I personally know about the other party. So like in a situation where, for example, the seller is getting a divorce,
Uh-huh.
like that's not information that you should be sharing as a realtor, because that puts the seller in a position of negotiating
Right.
that might not be so good.
Mhm.
So the other part of that is that, you know, 5% of the realtors do 95% of the business, right?
True. Very
So
true.
so the other 95% are making around poverty level income. They're not making, a lot
Well,
of money.
they're not full time. They're typically part time,
Yeah.
fund money kind of realtors, I call them
Yeah.
sometimes.
So
Yeah.
so their opportunity to double end um, the transaction could represent like 50% of their income for the year. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah, oh,
They have
yeah,
a lot of skin in the game,
they
you
do.
know? So I hope that as I'm understanding, I hope that I'm explaining this correctly, that people are understanding kind of the different scenarios that are going on when they contact the listing agent direct, who they do not know, to represent
Right.
them.
Correct.
And kind of what's in play here?
Mhm.
How is everybody supposed to act versus how they actually act
Mhm.
versus kind of what's on the table, you know?
Mhm.
So this appointment that I had the other day was a little bit alarming because this person had been using the listing agent for a couple of purchases recently, and I had visited the properties, and there were some major holes in the situation. Like,
Mhm.
you know, whereas like if you had an experienced buyer's agent that you had a relationship with, because
Mhm.
most agents, you know, they're not going to just sell you a house and bail on you. You know, they're going to be, you're going to have a relationship with them. They're going to be
Mhm.
somebody you
Mhm.
can depend on for information and referrals and that
Mhm.
sort of thing. So they're, you know, whereas these other guys, they're like one hit wonders. You know, they're going to sell you the
Yeah,
house, they're going to make a bulk of money, and you're never going to hear from again.
that's right.
So, you know, as I'm walking around these houses that this person purchased, I'm thinking, what now? What is this? And why is this here? And I asked this person, because I'm really direct. I'm like, well, what did the
Mhm.
agent tell you when you purchased this? Oh, they told me that this was legit. You know, it's like, well, it's not legit. It's not legit.
Mhm.
And now, you know, we have to do something with this asset, and we're going to possibly suffer a little bit because of this, you know, problem here. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I just feel like people, I understand that you're desperate and you want a house, and this is terrible. I wish there were enough houses for everybody. I do. But I honestly,
Well,
I've never had anybody not find a house. Some people,
right.
it was a little bit more of a journey than others.
True.
Sometimes people have to adjust their expectations, you know,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
really, you know, have a come to Jesus talk with them or their
Mhm.
family or whatever.
Mhm.
But I have not had anybody, not, I cannot think of anyone that I have not been able to find something for. So, you
Well,
know,
that's first of all because you're a really good agent. Number one, we know that. But I can tell you too, though, Megan, from a lending perspective, 'cause I deal with those things too on my side. Buyers will come to me and they're making an offer and they tell me they're going through listing agents, and without fail, they always have a bad result because, as you mentioned earlier, most of those agents, they're inexperienced. They do not know. It's like they don't know what they don't know, and those offers don't always get accepted either. They get beat out like everybody else does, right? But the challenge is when they get into escrow, that's where you have the conflict. You talked about that, a minute ago, is that the reality is you cannot serve two masters. You just
mm-hmm,
can't. And so when you get down to things like property defects, issues on the home inspection report, I mean, that agent is not prepared or qualified, most of the time, not even qualified, to really give that buyer the right guidance on how to proceed, right?
mm-hmm,
And so then down there, they have all these problems and they don't know why. So from experience, we both know from experience that having a very good buyer's agent who understands that process very, very well and knows how to negotiate is
mm-hmm,
going to get the best result. And that
right,
typically is not through the listing agent. It just
mm-hmm,
doesn't happen. It just doesn't
right.
happen.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I personally myself, I do dual agency. You know, I have, but it's not under the circumstances where, you know, it's like you're gonna get this house only if you go through me. It's like,
right.
oh, I
That's a
happen to have
different
a
scenario. Right.
buyer, I happen to have a seller, because I do have sort of a niche market with the things
Right. You
that I
do.
have. So I do have
Right.
those buyers, but I have never uh, not advise them based on my best, you know, advice. So I really implore people to, you know, find a great realtor,
Yeah.
you know, ask friends, who did they use?
Yeah.
Google that realtor, look them up, look at their reviews.
Mm-hmm.
How many sales
Mm-hmm.
have they had in the last year? Like, how up are they on what's happening in the market right now? And you find them, connect with them, and
Mm-hmm.
stick with your realtor as long as they
Mm-hmm.
are being responsive and
Right.
honest and that sort of thing.
Agreed.
And, you know, you don't have to go to the listing agent. There's strategies, there's things you can do with your offer to get it accepted and still have, success. So
For sure.
yeah, I really think that people just need to take a deep cleansing breath and
Yeah.
know that everything is going to be okay, but you just have to like take your time
And
and
follow the process.
follow the
Yeah,
process.
for sure.
Well, thanks, Rick. Thanks for joining me
Yeah.
today. I know I
Thanks,
did a
Megan.
lot of
Good stuff.
talking. I did a lot of talking, so I apologize. And
It's good stuff, though. It's a very good topic because people do get the wrong guidance. Oftentimes, we know that. So glad to
yeah,
have these topics.
yeah, exactly. All right, Rick. Well, have a great day, and
Thanks, you
I
too.
will see you next Tuesday.
All right, Megan. Take care. See you later.
Okay. Bye.